if they were involved with
Yeah,
you?
yeah,
So now you said your dad was involved when you first started drag racing, right?
yeah. I was really lucky. My dad was very supportive of my early hot rodding days. He knew. I guess he saw it gave me something to do and keep me out of trouble. And when I was 14, 15, we had this 55 Studebaker, and if I spent $50, he'd match me $50 on the car. So that really helped out a lot. And I got pictures of him tinkering away on the car the first couple times we ever took it to the track. You know, the very first time at the track. So I was really lucky. We were always allowed to have something in the garage and use the tools and use the space. So that makes it a lot easier when you got support like that. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, it's always great to have good moral support.
It's it was my dad used to say, you better figure out how to build it, kid, because it's an expensive racket and you got champagne taste with a beer budget.
Yeah. Okay, now what? Where am I?
We're sure excited to go run the car in March. That's for sure.
Yeah, the next March meet.
Yeah, I can't wait for it. It won't come soon enough.
So, are there any drivers out there that you're looking to get at when you go to March meet?
What's that?
Are there any drivers out there that you're looking forward to going against at the March meet?
They're all fun to run against. They're all a little different. They all have their little routines. I'm pretty easy going as far as, from a driver's point of view. I don't care whether I go in first or last or exactly what. I just want to get a half decent, clean light. It's a real challenge with the different clutch in the car. That really changed how the car reacts to the light. But, when you get to go down and run against, the champion speed shop with Adam Sorokin, the high-speed car with Mendy Fry, Jim Young, it's the amount of knowledge you're running against is just staggering.
Right.
But they're really good people. They need cars to run. We need cars in the class, so they're willing to help you out. To keep you coming back.
Yeah.
So it's a dream running against anyone in this whole class. It's a pretty amazing group of guys.
So, are there any dragster drivers that you haven't lined up against that you would love to line up against someday?
I'd like to run Dusty a couple more times. We've become good friends, and they're great people. So Dusty, I'd really like to go up against him a few times. He's young and full of fire, and he likes to cut the tree down. So that always makes it exciting.
So now, when you get ready for say for example, this weekend was Bakersfield. What goes into preparation to get the dragster ready for a weekend?
Well, you got the general mechanics of the car. So say you got a car set aside, ready to go. We usually spend, a good week or so getting the trailer all organized. We keep it pretty much ready to go at all times. So the week beforehand, getting ready to go, making sure we got what we need. And then when we go, for us, it's early morning, go to the ferry, get in line for the ferry, and we take a ferry ride from the island to the mainland. And then we drive for about half an hour, 45 minutes, and we got the U.S. border. So our morning starts off pretty busy when we get to go racing. Once we've gotten through the ferry deal and the U.S. border deal, then you got your 24-hour drive to Bakersfield for us. But it's almost an all-consuming hobby. It takes everything you can and more. So you just spend weeks and weeks and weeks of time getting organized and making sure parts are ready to be used for spares. So it's a lot of work. You're really, really busy. You can't, not have what you need if you need it. Fortunately, because of the camaraderie in the group, you can borrow what you need if you don't have it. So it's a pretty drop-in job getting everything ready to go. And then you throw the ferry boat ride on it, the border ride, and the big long drive, and it's half the battle is just getting to the racetrack, let alone getting down the racetrack.
Now you only run quarter-mile tracks, right? No eighth-mile racing for you, right?
No eighth mile. I wouldn't mind running eighth mile, at this point, especially when we don't have a 100% happy car. But it sure is fun to run the cars out the top end and, get the bigger mile per hour charges, that's for sure.
Now, Phil, where do you get all your fire and safety equipment from?
I get pretty much 95% of all our safety equipment comes from Taylor Safety through Dennis and Justin. Dennis is a great guy. He's done our safety gear for a long time. He goes out. He's a racer himself, and he understands the challenge from where we are. If we buy a part for $100 in California, by the time we buy it and ship it home, it's a $200 part. So anytime these suppliers can do anything to help us out, that really helps take, that little sting out of it. And Dennis is, he's a star at it. He's not only willing to help you out, to make things happen and get it done. They're very savvy in their tech and, what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And, it's all fun and games to run these cars the way we do. But when something goes wrong, like when we blew that blower off at Mission Raceway earlier this year, you really think, that you spent the money, got a really good product that did its job. That blower we bust up there, the casing was in 8 pieces. And, the rotors darn near got out of that bag. And, Dennis was one of the first guys to send me a message, say, hey, hope you're okay. Anything I can do to help you out, let me know. So, that sort of stuff means a lot to, when you're sitting behind a motor like we are.
Now, throughout your drag racing career, Phil, have you been in any accidents or close calls?
Early on in my career with my first race car, I crashed it at our local racetrack where we raced just on the straightaway at the local oval. And it did a big wheel stand. And when it came down, it took out the timing system and ended up breaking the front end of the car and sailing off the end of the racetrack. But I didn't get hurt, banged up my pride a little bit more, bent some tubes. So I've been very fortunate. I've never, wadded up a car and tore one up really bad. Had a couple small fires, some things like that, but, nothing too crazy, knock on wood.
Yeah, it's so tragic what happened last Thursday to Cat Moeller in that jet dragster. Yeah.
It's a really, dangerous sport. And, fooling around with cars, no matter what class or what type of car, whether it's a jet car, a sprint car, a stock car, a drag car, a road race car, a formula car. When you start pushing the envelope, unfortunately, when it bites hard and it can go definitely wrong. I'm a real believer in safety first. I love doing this, but I want to be able to have a beer at the end of the day and enjoy the moment with my friends. It breaks my heart to think what a family must feel to lose a daughter. Doing, even though they're doing something they love, that's just a devastating blow for anyone.
Yeah, especially being only 24 years old.
Just in the prime of life, just getting going. It's it kind of makes me, in some ways go, what the heck are we doing? And in other ways it goes, I really appreciate it and go, geez, I've been able to do it for as long as I have. I mean, I'm 57 years old. So, I've seen a few things.
Right. Yeah, they said that thing went right through her helmet and got her or whatever.
I don't know the details.
Mm.
I'm a mechanic by trade,
Mm.
and I'm sort of, semi-retired, and I work with a local police department with their collision analyst team, and I do the automotive reports, and I'm used to devastating, life-taking crashes, and it's just a terrible thing. Um, but how great to see a young person living life to the fullest.
Yeah, it was tragic when we lost Brett Henry.
There's it seems every year, something happens somewhere. I do a lot of road racing, and there's been a couple fatalities over the last years. It's a big reminder. When this thing bites, it bites hard.
You were probably at that event, right? The Hot Rod reunion when Brett Henry crashed.
Yes, I was. Unfortunately, one of our crew members was at the top end when that happened, and it was something you wish you didn't have a friend have to go through. It's just I guess it goes with the territory. You hate to say it, but I guess if it was a guaranteed thing that this thing would never ever go wrong, maybe it takes a little of the thrill away. I don't know. It's I'm a believer. Live life to the fullest, and but geez, you sure got to learn how to play safe.
Yeah. Well, deepest condolences to Kat's family and friends.
Yeah, hopefully they got lots of family and friends to support them, because they'll need it to get through this, and hopefully they can take some sliver of hope and deaden some of the pain somehow with the fact that she was doing something she really truly loved to do. She wasn't wasting her life away; she was living it.
Yep. 5 years.
But that doesn't take the hurt away, though.
Yeah, she was doing it for 5 years. Yeah.
These fuel dragsters, front motored fuel dragsters, they're such an exciting car to drive. When the pipes are all lit and it's just screaming away and it's sitting in front of you. But you sure have to have a lot of respect for these beasts.
Yeah.
I always, talk to my crew guys. I say, we got to really pay attention to details. And, I hate to drive you so hard and be so fussy, but, we got to be really careful because you can't, any little thing goes wrong, it can be catastrophic.
Right. That's very true, Phil.
But, that's racing.
Yep. Every time you go onto the track, it's always a risk.
In the staging lanes, the pastor comes up and says a prayer with you just before I go, and it really makes you realize how on the line you're putting it. I can't imagine what it's like to drive a 300-mile-per-hour funny car. That's so far over the edge, that's just crazy.
Yeah. All right. So Phil, moving on to another subject. Throughout your drag racing career, have you reached any milestones so far?
Personal milestones to me was one of the biggest ones was when we went our first over 200-mile-per-hour run. I can remember when we had our first 150-mile-per-hour run, and we thought that was really something. And 200 was tough to get, but we eventually did get it, and that was a big milestone. To run in the 6-second zone was really exciting for us. But I think the granddaddy for me is to get a 590. If we could run a high 5, I would feel like such a feeling of like we made it. I'm willing to, pay my dues to get there, and I realize it isn't going to come easy. But I think we have a chance of doing it. If we can run some low sixes, regularly without hurting it, I think we got the parts we can lean on it a little bit more and get that 590 something.
Well, maybe next year will be the year.
We really hope so. Not a lot of people have run a small block Chev in the 5 second zone. So it would be a really neat group of guys to get to hang your hat with.
So you ready for some fun questions here now?
You bet.
All right. If someone came up to you, Phil, and they wanted to give you, say, $300 million, and they wanted you to build a brand new drag race track, where would you consider building a new track, and what kind of features would you want to put into a new track?
I'd want to build it in the Pacific Northwest. There's a lot of racing fans in this area, and you could draw from Canada and the States, and it'd be closer to home for us. I'd want it to have a concrete drag strip, all concrete. I'd want it to have a high bank super speedway oval, a full road course. It would be neat to see it have all the different amenities for like motocross racing, go-kart racing, maybe even a test track for test skids, where the guys can do drifting and whatever people want to do. It would be neat to have a facility that you could just go and see, walk through the gate, pay an admission fee, and go inside and go watch whatever you wanted. I think that'd be pretty exciting.
All right, now, do you have any hobbies outside of drag racing?
Yeah, I'm big into mountain biking. I keep myself pretty busy in life.
So
I do a lot of road racing with sports car road racing.
You don't do any hunting or fishing or anything?
No, not a big hunter, man. I'm too much of a softie for that. Fishing in our neck of the woods is big, so everyone around here fishes, that's for sure.
All right, now, throughout your career, how many trophies or plaques have you won throughout your career?
Well, I guess I probably got about a dozen trophies and plaques on the wall. Three of the biggest ones to me are the first annual Ron Gorns Memorial Race they held at Woodburn Drag Strip for the Ron Gorns family. That was a real big one to win that race in the top eliminator group. We won it the first year, and we earned it, and we won it the second year, and we even worked harder to get that one. So when I look at those two trophies on the shelf, they're the ones that really, bring the smile to my face.
All right, now Phil, if you were able to do time traveling, Phil, and go back in time, would you do anything differently with the drag racing career?
Yeah, I'd probably start a little bit earlier, and I think I'd go a little bit more committed and go for it big at the beginning. I think you got to pay your dues a little bit, but I sometimes wish I'd got after it a little bit earlier in life.
All right. Now, if you and your other half have time to take vacation, what's your and your other half's favorite vacation spot?
Well, we just did a vacation the end of last year, and we did a 10-day river cruise in Portugal, and cruised up the river all through the wine country and ate some great food, drank some great wines and ports, and met and talked to some really fascinating people. And I went in a house up there in one winery where the 16 generations of people in that same family had lived at the same house.
Wow. That must have been quite interesting.
It was quite a trip. My better Vicky half has been so supportive of drag racing, so she drags me away on holiday every now and then.
All right, now What's your favorite food to eat, Phil?
I'm pretty simple food. I'm a meat and potatoes kind of guy.
Now, does Vicky cook?
She is a cooking machine.
So, what's your favorite dish that she makes?
I hate to say it. My favorite dishes: tacos or spaghetti. I think they're two of my favorite meals. It drives her crazy, but they really are my two favorites.
All right. What's your favorite beverage?
I'm a beer guy.
What you have a favorite beer?
Yeah, we have a brewery up here in Victoria, owned by Matt Phillips Brewery. So I drink Phillips beer.
Okay. So, what's your favorite non-alcoholic beverage?
Lemonade.
So, when you're at the track, when it's hot out, do you drink lemonade?
We have a few lemonades at the track, and when we're qualifying, we work pretty hard. But if it turns out we didn't qualify or we're knocked out of that round, we're more than willing to crack open a few beer and have some fun.
All right. So, Phil, what's your favorite movie of all time?
I'm not a movie guy, but when I think of movies, I guess American Graffiti, because of the car thing and the girls, I guess, is the one that comes to mind first. I mean, it's probably not a real deep thought movie, but when I think about shows, I guess that one caught my attention.
All right. Now, actually, a lot of drag racers that told me that was their favorite movie, American Graffiti.
It had such a great storyline in that show, and the street racing thing, for the era was sort of a lot of folklore for me.
Now, have you ever watched the Shirley Muldowney movie?
Yes, I have. Great show. She's quite a lady.
Yeah, that was a good movie. Heart of the Wheel. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not a lot of movies that have racing in them, is there, really, when you think about it?
Nope. So now, when you were growing up, Phil, did you have a favorite TV show?
I like Speed Racer. There's that car thing again. I remember the Wild Wild West cowboy show when those guys were in that train.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty exciting. So I guess those are my favorites.
All right. So what's your favorite music?
I'm a rock and roller. So, I like the good old fashioned rock and roll, like AC/DC. I like 38 Special. But I'm pretty open minded, so I can like everything from White Snake, and swing it all over to something with jazz in it, and I can listen to it. So I'm pretty open minded, but if you look at my record stash, it's got mainly good old fashioned rock and roll in it. So
who's your favorite classic rock band?
AC/DC probably is.
All right. So Speed Racer you would consider Speed Racer your favorite cartoon growing up then?
Yeah, Speed Racer was my favorite cartoon. I remember, they had the plot of the story, and I'd get caught right up. I remember just being glued to that TV watching that show. Here comes Speed Racer. I got a metal sign with Speed Racer in my shop on it.
Nice. Have you ever seen the movie they made, Speed Racer?
No.
I haven't watched it yet either.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it came out. I forgot what year it came out, but it's been out for a good while. Yeah, I've never watched that movie myself. No. So, when you're at the track for a day of racing, do you eat regularly, or are you a light eater when you're on a race day?
I'm a light eater on race day. We're really, really lucky at the track. Vicky comes and makes breakfast, lunch, and dinner for us. We camp at the track, and I'll have I'll have a good healthy breakfast, some granola, some fruit, not too much, some yogurt. Then I'll have a little lighter lunch, and she'll make up some hamburgers or some wraps. All she's a great cook. I don't like to have a big heavy meal in me before racing. I like to feel sort of energized, but I want to feel light and ready to go.
So at the end of the night, when the races are done, then you have a big meal?
Typically, we coordinate our meal, so that it doesn't affect any of our time work on the car. So when it's all done, Vic will have she'll have a pulled pork dinner sitting there ready for you. Just mind-boggling what that woman can do at cooking. The stuff she has to do, what she does, it's amazing what she does with it.
So you have a pulled pork.
We'll sit down and have a really good meal. Sit back, have a few beers.
Yeah, I was just going to say a pulled pork and ice cold beer, huh?
Yeah, you bet. You've worked hard all day. You got to keep it in check because you got a busy day the next day. So we usually try and get to bed fairly decent time. We're known for having a good time, but that's when we're knocked out. If we're not running the race car the next day, then we can throw caution to the wind and have a good time.
All right, now, can you think of one most embarrassing moment you had on the track?
The most what moment?
One most embarrassing moment you've had when you're on the track.
Yeah, most embarrassing moment. I don't know what that most embarrassing moment would be. I've done some real dumbass things in my life, but I don't know what the most embarrassing one is. I try and go to the track and have it fairly together, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I remember, when I was younger one time, we forgot to take the shoulder harnesses to the racetrack. We had to send a buddy back into town to pick up our shoulder harnesses so we could run the car. We actually made our one qualifying run. Those were the good old days back in the time, without the full set of harnesses in the car. That was a pretty, dumbass, stupid thing to do, but we did that once.
Yeah.
So I guess that's pretty embarrassing that I even did that one.
Yeah. So Phil, if you weren't a drag racer, what do you think you'd be doing in your life?
I would probably be a machinist. I love working with metal. Shiny things I'm attracted to. So a machinist, I think, would be my second thing for sure.
All right, now, what would you consider to be the fondest moment of your drag racing career?
Winning the 2 Ron Gorns Memorial races in Woodburn, Oregon, that was a really big deal for us. Another really big moment was being the number 1 qualifier in the top eliminator group at the Fuel and Gas Championships at Sonoma. That was a real neat experience to be the number 1 qualifier there.
So now, if people that are listening into the interview want to find your schedule where you can be running at next year, what's the best way for them to find out where you're going to be at?
On Facebook, we have Island Night. Fairly regularly putting new information on it, new pictures and things that people send in. So that's the best place to keep track of us.
Yep, the group page. All you gotta do is request to join the group, and then they'll approve you to get in there. Then you can follow them.
It's my couple of the guys on the team are pretty good at putting pictures up and keeping people informed of what we're doing.
All right. So Phil, how important do you think it is for the kids to come out and watch drag racing these days?
How hard is it for them to get into drag racing?
No. I said, how important do you think it is for them to attend, to come out and watch drag racing?
There definitely seems to be a wave of young people into racing. I was looking around at the California reunion, and there was definitely some young people in the stands watching the races. I think if people keep on putting on good racing, you'll draw these young kids into the sport.
Well, you know, they say the kids are the future of drag racing. You know.
You know, um, Bob McLennan with the Champion Speed Shop has this apprentice program for kids at a school in California to go to the drag strip. And they give us 2 young students at each race.
Now we lost him. Well, at least I had that much time. Before it was cutting off. Hold on, people. Bear with me. We'll get him back on again. I was almost done with the interview, too. Frustrating. I hope whoever's listening is enjoying the interview anyway. Sorry again about the technical difficulties tonight. We will get Phil back on in a minute and finish up with this interview. Bear with me.
There.
Hey, Phil, I was just telling the people listening, I'm like, things were going so well for a long while there. We finally got cut off. I knew it was too good to be true. So anyway, we're talking about the apprenticeship program, right?
Yeah, the apprenticeship program that Bob McLennan from the Champion Speed Shop's doing. You know, that's a really neat deal. We had a couple kids from the school, and they hung around with us. We had them at the March Meet and at the reunion. And it was neat to see the keenness of the young guys and gals. You know, these are smart young kids. I think it's good to show them the inside scoop at this level, what they can get into. You know, by being around it, they can learn how to get into it. You know, if someone like I can do it, you know, anyone can do it. I think that's a good sign for the future. That's for sure.
Man, of course, it's always good to see a lot of new junior dragsters coming out these days.
You know, yeah, junior dragster programs. You know, whatever it takes. I mean, it's a great sport to get into. I mean, there's the thrill of driving the car, but it's a whole other battle, the thrill of building the cars. The thrill of building the cars is almost exciting to me as driving them. You know, I drive the car because someone has to drive it. I do enjoy it, but building the cars, that's a real passion for me. I love that part. And it's really neat to work with these young people and see them keen about it, and you think, geez, the possibilities, you know, with their knowledge on computers and CNC machines, like these young people can be way far ahead compared to what we did.
So do you have any kids, Phil?
No kids, just a cat.
The cat's your kid.
Coolest cat in the world, though.
How old's the cat?
Geez, we've had Chloe about 11 years now. We live on 6.5 acres on top of a hill, and one winter night she walked up to our back door and she adopted us.
So what's the cat's name?
Chloe.
Chloe. Oh, that's my sister-in-law. Her little Shih Tzu dog's named Chloe.
Chloe's got a basket in the garage. She'll come hang out in it. She'll sit on the injector on top of the motor and watch me work on the car.
Yeah. So you ready for Thanksgiving this week, Phil?
Well, our timing's a little different than your timing, but we're definitely. I come from a great family, and I got 4 older sisters, and they always make sure we don't miss any of the holidays. That's for sure.
So when is Thanksgiving over there?
We've already had it.
How was it?
Good, really good.
Did you have turkey?
Yes, and ham.
So are you more of a turkey guy or ham guy?
Turkey.
Now, white meat or dark meat?
Definitely white meat.
Yeah, same here.
It's I come from with all the kids in the family, with nieces and nephews, and they're having kids now. It's quite a family get together around here.
Now, with all the nieces and nephews and stuff, you think you can get any junior dragster drivers on any of them?
If you can believe it, so far, no. There's not one of them has gone, hey, Uncle Phil, let's go drag racing. But one of my nephews, his young son, his name is Briggs. So I figured a name with Briggs, like Briggs and Stratton Motors. He's my next hope I'm hoping for.
Yeah. Hopefully.
When he gets a little bit bigger, we'll get him in a go-kart. Now we'll start planting the seed early.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Phil, I want to thank you very much for taking time to do the interview.
Well, I appreciate it. I sometimes feel far away from where it's all happening, and it's neat to speak with people that share the passion.
Now, do you have any final words or thank yous you want to give out to anybody?
I just want to really thank my crew for sticking with me through the good and the bad, and just hanging in there and working hard. I really want to thank our sponsors that help us out, in however they can. And I just want to thank the racers we race with. I know I drive them crazy sometimes asking all these questions, but they really make it enjoyable. I learn a lot from them, and I really love racing with them. There's a lot of neat people and different personalities. It's really quite an exciting group of guys to hang with.
All right. Well, thanks again for your time, Phil, and I wish you the best of luck next year with the racing season, and we'll get you on for another interview again probably next year. We'll see how you're doing.
Yeah, we should talk after the March meet. Hopefully, we might have something exciting to tell you about.
Sounds good. Well, you have a great night, Phil.
With you, Dave.
Have a good night.
You too. Take care.
Bye-bye.